Folks, September 27, 2018 edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered. As you can see, this is the hearing taking place of Brett Kavanaugh right now on Capitol Hill. It has been a contentious day. We'll break it down with our panel. Dr. Christine Blasey Ford against Judge Brett Kavanaugh. We'll break it all down with our panel. And also, if you watch cable news all day, you basically haven't seen any black people. We got 4 of them. Wasn't hard to find them. And so we'll have all of that, plus the latest development in the Laquan McDonald case and night school debuts this weekend. Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish. We'll hear from Will Packer and director Malcolm Lee. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics.
A stunning day on Capitol Hill as Dr. Christine Blasey Ford testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee, of course, in the confirmation hearing of Supreme Court nominee Judge Brett Kavanaugh. He is still on the witness stand as we speak. She testified about her being sexually assaulted by Kavanaugh as a friend looked on when she was 15 years old. Folks have been watching all across the country as TVs and, of course, folks watching on their phones and iPads tune in to this hearing. It is still going on Capitol Hill. Let's go live to that room.
Thanks for being here.
So, folks, Ken, there's a break happening as we speak. Testimony is going to resume in just a moment. Dr. Ford, of course, she testified this morning and completed early in the afternoon. Then it was Judge Brett Kavanaugh who came to, who testified. And trust me, he was full of fire. He really attacked Democrats for what they had to say for Christine Blasey Ford. Sometimes nervous, sometimes very composed. A stark contrast between those two as they have testified. Now, Senator Kamala Harris and Senator Cory Booker, because they are younger members of the Senate on the Democratic side, they have not been able to question them yet. More than likely that will take place in the hour that we are on. When they do begin to question, Brett Kavanaugh will actually go to them live. But right now, what I want to do is I want to go to our panel. I want to go to our panel right now, of course, who are here. We have, of course, a great panel assembled. First off, we have Janice Mathis, Executive Director of the National Council of Negro Women, also an attorney. A. Scott Bolden, an attorney, former chair of the D.C. Democratic Party. Kim Klachik, a political commentator and Executive Director of Potential Me, also, of course. She leans right. Dr. Greg Carr, chair of the Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. I think it's fair to say Greg leans left. Of course, Scott is also former head of the D.C. Democratic Party, so we know where he stands. Let me just go right to y'all on this because again, when you look at all the things that actually happened today, a stark contrast between two folks. Janice, go first.
I thought the witness, Dr. Ford, was extremely credible. When you're a lawyer, what you're looking for is a client who can put the jury at ease, seem believable, seem natural. The difference between her and Kavanaugh was he was obviously overcoached. And it backfired, I think, on his testimony. But when she said, "I'm terrified," you had to believe that. That was almost the first words out of her mouth. "I'm terrified, but I have a civic duty." It just sounded real. Of course, credibility is in the eye of the beholder, but I thought she did herself well today.
Scott Bolden.
I think Democrats and Republicans found Ford to be very credible. The dichotomy between the two of them, I think, was in tone, tenor, and approach. Kavanaugh was really hyped up. I would even say unhinged at times, despite the emotional highs and lows, but he really went after the Democrats in a very political speech. This was the Trump operative Kavanaugh, not the umpire who's calling balls and strikes. And it really brings a real issue to the forefront regarding his judicial temperament and whether he's fit even, that hasn't come up, but fit to serve on the Supreme Court, especially if Democrats come before him. That's going to be a real issue. It'll be interesting to see if we have the vote or not tomorrow.
Kim?
I think Dr. Ford had a compelling testimony today. I think, like you said, a lot of people on both sides of the aisle felt that she was credible. But I do think at the same time she had a hard time recalling facts. And I know someone mentioned that victims of trauma, sometimes that does happen. Now, I will say, on the other hand, I felt that, I know, Janice, you were saying something about Kavanaugh being overcoached, but I think he was undercoached. I think what we saw was his actual personality. I think he felt attacked over the last couple of weeks, and I think he was trying to defend himself.
Great.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that what we saw today was the real Judge Kavanaugh. He's a nasty man. He is a product of elite white male circles. He feels like that appointment is his right. After all, this is the man who coached John Roberts to remain calm and cool. He is a political hack, and he's been one since Bush versus Gore. He was the one who wrote all the salacious sexual questions for Bill Clinton. And yet, when questioned by people who are ostensibly on his team, when they pulled this woman out of Arizona so that they could, as if they could hide all those old white men sitting up there with Ben Sass, he was in tears. He was in tears temperamentally in ways, as you say, Scott, that looked rather unhinged. And then, as soon as Dianne Feinstein started questioning him, he starts rocking back and combative. This is a man who shouldn't be on the Court of Appeals, much less the Supreme Court.
Hold tight one second. I do want to play some of the testimony today. First, we'll hear from Dr. Ford. So here we go.
But the details about that night that bring me here today are the ones I will never forget. They have been seared into my memory and have haunted me episodically as an adult. When I got to the small gathering, people were drinking beer in a small living room, family room type area on the first floor of the house. I drank one beer. Brett and Mark were visibly drunk. Early in the evening, I went up a very narrow set of stairs leading from the living room to a second floor to use the restroom. When I got to the top of the stairs, I was pushed from behind into a bedroom across from the bathroom. I couldn't see who pushed me. Brett and Mark came into the bedroom and locked the door behind them. There was music playing in the bedroom. It was turned up louder by either Brett or Mark once we were in the room. I was pushed onto the bed, and Brett got on top of me. He began running his hands over my body and grinding into me. I yelled, hoping that someone downstairs might hear me, and I tried to get away from him, but his weight was heavy. Brett groped me and tried to take off my clothes. He had a hard time because he was very inebriated and because I was wearing a one-piece bathing suit underneath my clothing. I believed he was going to rape me. I tried to yell for help. When I did, Brett put his hand over my mouth to stop me from yelling. This is what terrified me the most and has had the most lasting impact on my life. It was hard for me to breathe, and I thought that Brett was accidentally going to kill me. Both Brett and Mark were drunkenly laughing during the attack. They seemed to be having a very good time. Mark seemed ambivalent, at times urging Brett on, and at times telling him to stop. A couple of times I made eye contact with Mark and thought he might try to help me, but he did not. During this assault, Mark came over and jumped on the bed twice while Brett was on top of me. And the last time that he did this, we toppled over and Brett was no longer on top of me. I was able to get up and run out of the room. Directly across from the bedroom was a small bathroom. I ran inside the bathroom and locked the door. I waited until I heard Brett and Mark leave the bedroom, laughing, and loudly walk down the narrow stairway, pinballing off the walls on the way down. I waited, and when I did not hear them come back up the stairs, I left the bathroom, went down the same stairwell, through the living room, and left the house. I remember being on the street and feeling an enormous sense of relief that I had escaped that house and that Brett and Mark were not coming outside after me. Brett's assault on me drastically altered my life. For a very long time, I was too afraid and ashamed to tell anyone these details. I did not want to tell my parents that I, at age 15, was in a house without any parents present, drinking beer with boys.
Sure.
All right, folks. Again, testimony has resumed on Capitol Hill in the hearing for Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Let's go live to Capitol Hill.
The federal public defender who testified to the committee talked about how I was always open-minded and how I'd ruled in favor of unpopular defendants, how I was fair-minded. I think universally, lawyers who've appeared before the D.C.
So the answer is yes. I am running out of time. You know, we only have 5 minutes, so let me get to something else. In your Fox News interview, you said that you, quote, always treated women with dignity and respect, end quote, and that in high school you never, quote, drank so much that you couldn't remember what happened the night before. Would you say the same thing about your college life?
Yes.
So I'd like to read you statements from people who knew you in college.
Sarah,
And
can I say
Senator
one thing?
Coons noted that James Roche said, your roommate, although Brett was normally reserved, he was a notably heavy drinker, even by the standards of the time, and he became aggressive and belligerent when he was drunk. So is your former college roommate lying?
I would refer you to what I said in the sealed or redacted portion about his relationship with the other two roommates, and I'm going to leave it at that. I will say, Senator, you're asking about college. I got into Yale Law School. That's the #1 law school in the country. I had no connections there. I got there by busting my tail in
I feel
college.
insulted as a Georgetown graduate.
Excuse me?
Go on.
I'm sorry. It's ranked #1. That doesn't mean it's #1. And, you know, in college, two things. A, I studied. I was in cross-campus library every night. And B, I played basketball for the junior varsity. I tried out for the varsity. The first day I arrived on campus, we had captain's workouts. I played basketball every day, all through. And then as soon as the season was over in late February, captain's workouts started again. I was obsessed with being the basketball player.
I only have 23 seconds. So you were not as sloppy drunk, and so your roommate was lying.
I will refer you again to the redacted portion. I'll say, look at my academic record, and I don't usually like to talk about myself this way, but in response to you know, I worked very hard in college in my studies, and I also played basketball, I did sports, and I also did socialize.
Excuse me, I know that the chairman is going to stop me, but I do have some other references from people who knew you who say that you were not the basic choir board. But, hold on. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Tell us.
I would like to, Mr. Chairman, okay, I'll wait until we finish because I just want to enter some letters into the record. Could I do that?
I wasn't clear that's what you were doing.
I could go on. But, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter into the record 4 letters. One is dated September 18th, 2018 to you from all of the Democrats on this committee. Another is a letter dated September 18th to Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, and Don McGahn, counsel to the president, signed by all the Democrats on this committee. A September 21st letter signed by Chuck Schumer and Dianne Feinstein to the president, and a September 26th letter signed by all the Democrats on this committee, all requesting an FBI investigation, because you did say all we have to do is ask, and the implication being that if we ask, an investigation will happen, and it certainly has not happened. Thank you, Mr.
Without
Chairman.
objection, that will be included. Senator, tell us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge Kavanaugh, thank you again for being here, and I apologize for what you're going through right now. I
hearing
can't
as well,
imagine.
waiting for Senator Kamala Harris and Senator Cory Booker to actually question Brett Kavanaugh as well. Before we cut away to Dr. Ford, Janice, go right ahead. You were about to make a comment.
Well, I was just saying that this process, in some sense, the Republicans outfoxed themselves with this 5 minutes on and 5 minutes off. It made the testimony elicited by their prosecutor disjointed and hard to follow. When you're cross-examining somebody, you have to build one question on top of another, like a row of bricks, and she never got a chance to do that. So it's very difficult to follow that narrative if you were one of the senators trying to follow it.
Kim, it made no sense to me because the whole point of bringing her there was for her to ask the questions and to say, well, no, well, she's going to ask the question in place of the Republican senators, and they're seeing it looking like bumps in the log. But here's what's also interesting. Okay, in the afternoon, when Kavanaugh comes up, she started, then they finally went, the hell with her. Okay, we're going to ask questions. And so now you have these senators who were weasels and wimps who, oh no, we can't question a woman. So let's go find a woman who can question the woman. But when the man's there, oh hell yeah, we're gonna question the man. Look, either you let the prosecutor, the former prosecutor, question her and Kavanaugh, or you don't wimp out and the Republican senators, you question both.
Yeah, it didn't make much sense. But I'll say that I think they had her questioning them, or her questioning Dr. Ford, because they wanted to be respectful. And they thought that possibly a bunch of men kind of, not ganging up, but questioning this woman about her sexual assault. She was clearly terrified. You could hear it in her voice.
Hold on. There are 11 Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee. That's their problem. They don't have any women on the side. There are 6 Republican women. There are 6 women who are Republicans in the United States Senate.
Let's note that I thought that they should have done the questioning. I never thought that bringing Mitchell in was the right thing to do.
To me, that was more insulting. That, oh my God, we got to go out and we got to find a woman, okay, who can question, because we don't want it to look like 11 white guys questioning this woman. Well, guess what? You are a member of the United States Senate. You're on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Scott, that's what you're supposed to do. But they clearly have no problem in talking to the white man.
They shouldn't. They
certainly don't. If they had broken up the prosecutor's cross-examination on both parts of these in 15 to 20-minute increments, because they all yielded at least 5 minutes, I can't do the calculation, but it would have been much more, not disjointed, but much more joined together. I continue to think that Kavanaugh is probably the most political Supreme Court nominee we've ever heard. I mean, not just his opening statement, but his nastiness, his aggressiveness towards the Democratic senators, including one who he asked right out in open. She was asking about his drinking, and he asked her, did she have a drinking problem? Because he certainly didn't. He would later come back and surprise to Senator Amy Klobuchar. Just incredible exchange.
You talked about some of that, as you define it, as nastiness. Let's play a clip from earlier. Here's Brett Kavanaugh.
My family and my name have been totally and permanently destroyed by vicious and false additional accusations. The 10-day delay has been harmful to me and my family, to the Supreme Court, and to the country. When this allegation first arose, I welcomed any kind of investigation, Senate, FBI, or otherwise. This confirmation process has become a national disgrace. The Constitution gives the Senate an important role in the confirmation process, but you have replaced advice and consent with search and destroy. Since my nomination in July, there's been a frenzy on the left to come up with something, anything, to block my confirmation. A Democratic senator on this committee publicly referred to me as evil. Evil. Think about that word. Given comments like those, is it any surprise that people have been willing to do anything, to make any physical threat against my family, to send any violent email to my wife, to make any kind of allegation against me and against my friends, to blow me up and take me down?
Folks, now there also were some tears. I thought I was going to all of a sudden hear Smokey Robinson singing Tracks of My Tears. Here's Brett Kavanaugh, very emotional as he testified, but to begin his portion this afternoon.
I'm not questioning that Dr. Ford may have been sexually assaulted by some person in some place at some time. But I have never done this to her or to anyone. That's not who I am. It is not who I was. I am innocent of this charge. I intend no ill will to Dr. Ford and her family. The other night, Ashley and my daughter Liza said their prayers, and little Liza, all of 10 years old, said to Ashley, we should pray for the woman. It's a lot of wisdom from a 10-year-old. We mean no.
All right, folks, right now, Senator Cory Booker is about to question Brett Kavanaugh. Let's go live to Capitol Hill.
Orchestrated as a political hit. Are you saying that Dr. Ford's efforts to come forward, to prepare for the very difficult testimony she gave today, to travel to Washington, D.C. and tell us about her experience have all been part of an orchestrated political hit? And are you basically calling her some kind of political operative?
I've said my family has no ill will toward Dr. Ford. She wanted confidentiality. Her confidentiality was blown by the actions of this committee, and it's turned this into a circus.
So, let's just be clear. In other words, you have problems with the senators that are up here and how we conducted it, but you're not saying in any way that she is a political pawn, political operative. You have sympathy for her. She is talking about a sexual assault. Is that correct?
I said all allegations should be taken seriously. You should listen to both sides. My family has no ill will toward her.
Thank you, sir. Do you wish that she never came forward?
Senator, I did not do this. The witness.
That's not my question, sir. Could you try to answer my question, sir? Do you wish she never came forward?
The witnesses who were there say it didn't happen.
Okay, sir. Do you wish she just remained silent then?
I wish the witnesses who were there say it didn't happen. All allegations should be taken seriously.
So even if it's in the final days before a vote, if someone has a credible allegation of experience that they held for a long time, that person should be allowed to come forward. And in fact, as she said, it was her civic duty. You're not questioning her sense of civic duty, are you?
She did come forward, and then it was.
I know you have a lot of political animus. You stated it very clearly towards my colleagues and I on this panel. What I'm trying to get to the bottom of is you do not see her specifically as part of an orchestrated event. She is not a political pawn.
I don't know her, but I've also said that we bear no ill will toward her. She wanted confidentiality. This could have been handled.
And I understand, but she came forward. She took a great extent.
Yeah.
Your family has gone through hell. Her family has gone through hell. Right. She sat here. She told her truth. And you made the allegation that she was coordinating it. I do not think she was coordinating with
I did not say that.
You said this. I'm sorry. So you said that others were making a coordinated attack.
Coordinated by.
Forgive me. You were talking about us, not her. So she was not. She was not doing this for political efforts. In 2012, when she talked to her therapist about this attack, she was not coordinating about this painful experience when she made revelations to her husband. She did not coordinate in 2013, 16, 2017, before you even nominated, when she revealed that it was you with 3 different people that had sexually assaulted her. That wasn't coordination. And Lindsay,
all the witnesses who were there say it didn't happen. Ms. Kaiser is her longtime friend, said she never saw me at a party with or without Dr.
And Ms. Kaiser has said clearly, and I'll quote what she said. She said she does not remember the night in question. That supports what you said. But she also says that she believes Dr. Ford. And so my colleague Lindsey Graham, who I respect and have admiration to and has been a partner of mine, he said voting no would be legitimizing the most despicable thing in American politics. Do you think that people who believe Dr. Ford are legitimizing despicable things? Those of us who think she's a credible witness, the allegations against her are credible, do you think that somehow we are engaging in something that's despicable?
Senator, I say listen to both sides before you make a bottom line conclusion, and look at the.
That is fair. I have 10 seconds left, sir. You can answer after I finish. You have 10 seconds left. That is fair. Listen to both sides. This is not about one side being despicable, the other side not. Listen to both sides. She was a credible. I'm going to finish my question. You can answer. She gave credible, meaningful testimony. A woman who had the courage to come forward and tell her truth, sir. And that's what I'm just asking you to say. She is not a political pawn. She is not orchestrating. She is not part of the Clintons' efforts to get some kind of revenge. She is a woman who came here with corroborating evidence to tell her truth.
Is that a question?
No, sir. It was a final statement.
Senator Cruz.
Just on one thing, Mr. Chairman, the evidence is not corroborated at the time. The witnesses who were there say it didn't happen.
Okay. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge Kavanaugh, you and your family have been treated incredibly poorly by Senate Democrats and by the media. And let me say also, I think Dr. Ford and her family have been treated incredibly poorly by Senate Democrats and the media. You have both seen your good names dragged through the mud. And this has been, sadly, one of the most shameful chapters in the history of the United States Senate. Let me say to you and your family, thank you for a lifetime of public service. I will say, watching your mother's pained face has been heart-wrenching.
All right, folks, in a second, we're going to go back
As
to the
she's
hearing. But
seen
let me throw this out. So, Senator Lindsey Graham, you heard Senator Cory Booker reference Senator Lindsey Graham. I mean, he starts blasting them. He's talking about, you guys are trying, you're all about power. I do recall a Supreme Court seat being left vacant for 243 days. Was that not about power?
Well,
and wasn't Lindsey Graham one of the folks who was a part of that power grab?
That's why Lindsey Graham has completely laid down to Donald Trump. Today, what we see with Brett Kavanaugh, he has an audience of one. That one is sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. He is fighting for a seat that he thinks belongs to him. This is the end of a almost 3-decade agenda to get that Supreme Court in their hands. And Lindsey Graham's going to play ball. Remember, the Democrats today, they have a couple of agendas. One is to talk about Dr. Ford, but their agenda all along has been less about the allegations and more about demonstrating that this man is unfit temperamentally and that by character and personality, he should not be on the highest court of the land, which is a privilege, not a right. But that's not how the right wing sees it. The right wing sees this as a right, not a privilege. And this man is fighting to be that one that they put on the court.
Here's the issue that I've always maintained, Kim. First of all, I've always believed that anybody who was nominated by the president should, between the point of being nominated, it should be no more than 6 months from nomination to a hearing to a vote. I don't care. Elections do have consequences.
That is
and so who wins, that's who gets to appoint federal judges. And if I'm a Democrat, I'm still pissed about Merrick Garland. And I'm not letting that go. And I'm sure as hell not going to listen to any Republican talk about power grab or talk about fairness when they then say elections matter when, yes, the people elected President Barack Obama twice. So they clearly said, we entrust you with picking a Supreme Court nominee. That was pure politics. And so what this is payback.
Oh, I truly believe it. This is eye for an eye. Everyone's still mad about Garland. And I understand, but that's what this is about.
Republicans still mad about Bork.
But at the same time,
True.
For getting this eye for an eye, we are ruining a man's reputation. We're not saying that this is still he say, she say. This is still his word against her word. And through all this, we are ruining his reputation. We're dragging him through the mud. I just feel like we could have gone about this a better way. Now, the Democrats are hoping what? In 2018, the midterms are November, right?
Yes.
And they're hoping that there's
this
blue wave. There's this blue wave, and they control the House and the Senate once again. I don't even see that coming. So you know what? I think this is a distraction. I think it's a wanted distraction, and I'm okay with it.
Well, guess
but
what?
At the same time, I don't think the Democrats are going to win the Senate or the House
guess
come
what?
November.
Janice, hold up, Janice. The Republicans see it coming. That's why they trying to hurry the hell up and get Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. Because here's the deal. If they didn't think they were going to lose, they would say, do an FBI investigation. Take your time. We all good. No, they want him on that. They want that vote Friday or Saturday. They want him on that court before October 4th. That's right. They do not want to play it because you know why? They all want to get out of D.C. to campaign at home for the final month.
They want to get home to campaign.
No. They want him on that court, Janice.
And this is not any Supreme Court seat.
That's right.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime shift in the Supreme Court. There have been 4 votes to the left of Kennedy and 4 votes to the right of Kennedy. And this will define what the court is and what the law is, not just on abortion and choice, but on education and affirmative action and transportation, on a whole host of issues.
Labor unions.
Labor unions, the right to organize. This is not just some vote. This is a court-defining moment. This is 1896. This is Plessy.
Seriously.
This
You're not
is
overstating
1954.
That's right.
This is Brown.
That's right.
Immigration law. But here's the other thing. In the history of America, there have only been 113 Supreme Court justices. In the history of America. And 107 of them being white men. Okay? You're going to be one of 9 lifetime appointments. You're the highest court of the land. They should turn every rock, every story, every allegation, because I dare say to be a Supreme Court justice is more important to be the President of the United States.
Of course. But remember,
because the President is there max 8 years. A judge could be there 30, 40, 50, 60 years depending. And I say that's a level that when it comes to importance, you must say we got to ensure we have the right person who's on the Supreme Court, whether appointed by Republican or Democrat.
But you're absolutely right. And the hypocrisy of it all is what you laid out about Merrick Garland versus Kavanaugh. It is super important. That's why no one should be surprised at this big fight that's going on. Exactly. This whole issue of dragging his name through the mud. But he put himself in that position.
But here's the other piece, Greg. But
here's
the other piece. This did not happen with Gorsuch.
No. Well,
Gorsuch was appointed by this is very simple.
Come on, man.
If you want to make the argument that Democrats will try anything, Neil Gorsuch was the nominee that they put on after they screwed Merrick Garland.
That's right.
Not one woman came forward about anything about Gorsuch.
No, and they both went to Georgetown Day.
Nobody sent a letter.
That's right.
And so to somehow suggest, that you're taking this and you're using it, if they wanted to make up something, they would have with Gorsuch.
See, but that's the wild card, Roland. Now remember, once you've been put on the Supreme Court, that means you can't be taken off. Remember Abe Fortas, who had to leave for financial reasons. They had found some financial improprieties. But in this case, the wild card is this particular nominee. Now, we know Mitch McConnell has no morals whatsoever. He's the one who held up Merrick Garland. And parenthetically, Roland, you the one who said Obama should have nominated a black woman. Maybe wouldn't have been in this case. But
he should have.
That's right. But Trump wanted this person, and even gutless, guileless McConnell said, don't nominate him. We've got 24 others who are just like him. We have women who would overturn Roe. But this is the wild card. This particular man, Kavanaugh, he might get nominated. He might get confirmed. He might get on the bench and somebody bring something out and he'll be off the bench.
It's interesting because many of the Democratic senators said even if he gets confirmed, it's not over yet.
That's right.
And they continue to say that like it's a voice in the wilderness, but they still have that power if that Democratic wave comes through. This fight's not going to be over for quite some time. You watch.
Janice.
And not only that, this guy is a person who has apparently no compunction about the truth, no willingness to tell the truth.
Not when it's
He's
for the
willing
Supreme
to say,
Court.
to say whatever is by any means necessary.
Yes,
he will get that seat.
Yes.
The GOP on the city side says the same thing.
Let me also say this here again to your point about Graham. This is what after listening to all this nonsense from Senator Lindsey Graham, this is what Mitch McConnell said in August of 2016. Quote, one of my proudest moments was when I looked at Barack Obama in the eye and I said, Mr. President, you will not fill this vacancy. I don't want to hear nothing from Lindsey Graham about power. I don't want to hear a damn thing from him about a power grab.
Kept it open for a year.
243 days. And so, again, I go back to my earlier point. I believe that anybody who is nominated by a president deserves to get a vote up or down. But we know for a fact, just the other day, Donald Trump had his rally, and he was talking about, oh my God, I'm going to get 145 appointments. Then he lied. Oh, Barack Obama didn't care about federal judges. Yes, he did, but he simply got held up by Mitch McConnell. There's a reason there were 100 federal judicial vacancies when Trump became president, because the Republicans would not fill them because they knew they were waiting for a Republican president.
That's right.
That's why I don't want to ever hear anything from Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, who was ticked off with the Obama administration, held up the appointment of Cassandra Butts to be the ambassador to the Bahamas. She finds out that she was sick. She dies waiting for her hearing, never got it because they were holding it up. That's what Senator Tom Cotton did to Cassandra Butts, who was a former number 2 in terms of the White House counsel's office under Obama. And so when I listen to any of these folks talk about playing games, I'm like, what did you do for 8 years under Obama? And so now all of a sudden you're shocked that Democrats are using the exact same tactics, which is why I say, and I dare say, if the Democrats could get control of the House, if I'm Chuck Schumer, I'm saying I ain't confirming nobody for 2 years.
Well,
and if y'all got a problem with it,
that's right.
Y'all can go kick rocks.
That's right, because this is the end for them, Roland. They will not be able to maintain this in terms of demographics. So what they're playing for is the end game. Now, they shouldn't have nominated Kavanaugh, but now that they've nominated him, Mitch McConnell can count. They're going to put him on the Supreme Court.
Who should they have nominated instead of
They
Kavanaugh?
could have nominated, they have 2 dozen, the Federalist Society, I mean,
they have the list.
I'm saying Trump jumped over everybody on the list and put that man on it because he thinks that this man's going to keep him out of jail.
Yes, he did. Hold tight 1 second. Hold tight 1 second. Let's go to Senator Kamala Harris right now questioning Brett Kavanaugh.
Do whatever the committee wants. They're not admissible in federal court because they're
Thank
not
you.
reliable, as you know.
So you've not taken one.
Right.
All 3 of the women who have made sworn allegations against you have called for an independent FBI investigation into the claims. You've been asked during the course of this hearing by 4 different members, by my count, at least 8 times today, and also earlier this week on national television, whether you would call for the White House to authorize an FBI investigation. Each time you have declined to do so. Now, you know, I know you do, that the FBI is an agency of men and women who are sworn and trained law enforcement, who in the course of conducting background investigations on nominees for the Supreme Court of the United States and others are charged with conducting those background investigations because they are sworn law enforcement and they have the expertise and the ability and the history of doing that. So I'm going to ask you one last time. Are you willing to ask the White House to authorize the FBI to investigate the claims that have been made against you?
Well, I'll do whatever the committee wants, of course.
And I've heard you say that, but
The
I've
witness
not heard you answer a very specific question that's been asked, which is, are you willing to ask the White House to conduct an investigation by the FBI to get to whatever you believe is the bottom of the allegations that have been levied against you?
The FBI would gather witness statements. You have
Sir,
the witness statements.
I don't want to debate with you how they do their business. I'm just asking, are you willing to ask the White House to conduct such an investigation? Because as you are aware, the FBI did conduct a background investigation into you before we were aware of these most recent allegations. So are you willing to ask the White House to do that? And say yes or no, and then we can move on.
I've had 6 background investigations over 26 years.
Sir, as it relates to the recent allegations, are you willing to have them do it?
The witness testimony is before you. No witness who was there supports that I was there.
Okay, I'm going to take that as a no, and we can move on. You have said in your opening statement, you characterized these allegations as a conspiracy directed against you. I'll point out to you that Justice now, Neil Gorsuch, was nominated by this president. He was considered by this body just last year. I did a rough kind of analysis of similarities. You both attended Georgetown Prep. You both attended very prestigious law schools. You both clerked for Justice Kennedy. You were both circuit judges. You were both nominated to the Supreme Court. You were both questioned about your record. The only difference is that you have been accused of sexual assault. How do you reconcile your statement about a conspiracy against you with the treatment of someone who was before this body not very long ago?
I explained that in my opening statement, Senator. Look at the evidence here, the calendars, look at the witness statements, look at Ms. Kaiser's statement.
Okay. And then, do you agree that it is possible for men to both be friends with some women and treat other women badly?
Of course, but the point I've been emphasizing, and that is if you go back to age 14 for me, you will find people, and not just people, lots of people who I've been friends with, some of whom are in this room today, starting at age 14, women, and who talked about my friendships with them through my whole life, and it's a consistent pattern all the way through. 65 women who knew me more than 35 years ago signed a letter to support me after the allegation was made because they know me and they were with me and we grew up together. We talked on the phone together and we went to events together. That is who I am. What they've said, what the people who worked with me in the Bush White House the women there. Look at what Sarah Day said in centralmaine.com. Look at what the law clerks. I have sent more women law clerks to the Supreme Court than any other federal judge in the country.
I only have a few seconds left, and I'll just ask you a direct question. Did you watch Dr. Ford's testimony?
I did not. I plan
Thank you.
to. I plan to.
Thank you.
I plan to, but I did not. I was preparing mine.
Our last 5 minutes will be Senator Flake, 1 minute, and Senator Kennedy, 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When Dr. Ford came forward with her account, I immediately said that she should be heard and asked the chairman to delay the vote that we had scheduled. And the chairman did, and I appreciate that. And she came at great difficulty for her and offered compelling testimony. You have come and done the same. I am sorry for what's happened to you and your family, as I'm sorry for what has happened to hers. And this is not a good process, but it's all we've got. And I would just urge my colleagues to recognize that in the end, we are 21 very imperfect senators trying to do our best to provide advice and consent. And in the end, there is likely to be as much doubt as certainty going out of this room today. And that as we make decisions going forward, I hope that people will recognize that. And in the rhetoric that we use and the language that we use going forward.
I'm tired of Senator Jeff Flake. He gives more speeches and says not a damn thing. Jazz Mathers, I know you have, I drive me crazy. Jazz Mathers, I know you have to go. Your final comment.
I think it's important for us to realize that in the search for justice, you got to search for the truth. And these guys have set up some artificial barriers to getting to the truth by saying we're not going to investigate. We're going to close our minds, close our eyes, close our files, and not get to the bottom of what really happened. You can't find justice that way. It's disappointing.
All right, Janice, I appreciate that. Kim, I want to go to you while Janice leaves. Kim, first of all, I made the point before they even got to it that Gorsuch did not go through this, and so clearly, clearly, what you have here is folks paying attention, and that's the case. Neil Gorsuch did not go through this. He could have gone through this, but he didn't. These are two different Republican-nominated Supreme Court justices.
No, I don't disagree with that, but I do want to just call out really quickly because Senator Flake was just commenting and saying that he's sad that it's ruined his family and Dr. Ford has been dragged through this, and he said, but I'm sorry, this is all we got. This is the process. That is not true. This letter came out back in July when it could have been added to the FBI investigation or to the background of Judge Kavanaugh to begin with. So this isn't all you got. This is what happened because, in my opinion, Senator Feinstein decided to wait and pull this in the 11th hour and make this as political as possible.
What about the fact that she wasn't allowed to share it because Dr. Ford wouldn't give her permission to share it? What is she supposed to do? Just violate that and do it anyway?
Well, Dr. Ford also said today that she contacted the Washington Post numerous times to share her story. And so to me, and it was leaked, I don't know who leaked it out of Senator Feinstein's office.
From the representative's office or from Feinstein's office would get back to her. And she wanted her story out, and she did call the Washington Post. She wanted it out because she knows that she knew that she had been traumatized by Kavanaugh. She was positive of that, and she wanted it to be considered in whether he would make it to the Supreme Court or not. What's wrong with that?
I honestly don't believe that she even knows for a fact that it was Judge Kavanaugh. And that is just me looking into her testimony.
I can tell you as a former sex crimes prosecutor,
I do believe Dr. Ford
was and something happened to her.
I do believe something did happen to Dr. Ford, but I don't think
why not have FBI?
She knows exactly who it was.
Well, you're saying you're not against an FBI investigation. None of us are.
No,
but there's
what would that do? They can't decide.
But the question becomes,
you have an independent review.
Right.
You have independent
review.
Witnesses.
This is the same FBI that's been going over the Russian investigation for how long? They are so independent. Peter Strzok came out with text messages.
Hold on, one second. Everybody can't talk at the same time. Kim finished, Scott, Greg.
This is the same FBI that has the so independent review that we see Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, all this drama surrounding other investigations.
Completely
irrelevant. That's the FBI.
They're gone from the FBI, and they don't do background checks.
So we're just going to assume that everybody still, that still doesn't exist in the FBI.
I'm sorry, hold up. One second, hold up.
No, I do not.
Hold up. One second, hold up, 1 second.
I know. Go get it.
Is this not the same FBI? Where if there was a terrorist out there, they gonna take him down?
No,
No,
Kim.
Hold up, Kim. No, Kim. This is what we will not do. What we will not do is say, oh, well, because of those two, there's no way the entire FBI can do an investigation. When in fact, the FBI right now continues to do investigations every single day, arresting white domestic terrorists, arresting folks for other crimes. But now all of a sudden, we're saying the FBI can't investigate this?
Or do a background check?
When he said independent review, that is where I say I don't know how independent
Let me clarify what I...
Greg Carr, go ahead.
It is a murky... Go ahead.
No, I'll clarify very clearly. I have no faith in the FBI. I don't trust the FBI. I'm a black man in America. I know the history of the FBI. My question is simply this. What are they scared of? Why won't Kavanaugh say to Feinstein or Kamala Harris, I would ask the president for an FBI investigation? Why won't Chuck Grassley do it? In other words, forget the FBI. Right. Let's move to the Senate and the judge. Why won't you just do it?
Why not move it even further to Montgomery County? There's no statute of limitations.
No, because Hogan has already decided to play a
press charges and have an investigation. There's
the
police
governor.
department.
Okay. No. First of all, here's why. In order for Montgomery County to investigate, someone would have to actually make the complaint to Montgomery County.
That's
right. I believe her name is Dr.
No. Hold up, one second. The FBI has federal jurisdiction.
That's right.
And so therefore, if the committee or if the White House says we would like to, first of all, the FBI has already done a background check.
That's right.
So all they have to say is we're going to reopen the investigation.
That's right.
Now, this is why the game Kavanaugh is playing won't fly.
Come on.
And this is why he won't answer the question. Okay? If you said, Roland, you sexually assaulted a woman in high school, oh hell no, I didn't. And this is what I would have said. Open the damn investigation.
Exactly.
I ain't afraid of y'all talking to nobody. I ain't afraid of y'all talking to the folks who weren't there.
That's right.
And the folks who you think were there who weren't there.
That's right.
Y'all can knock yourselves out.
Question. Please.
But
yes,
when you keep saying, my boy submitted a written statement.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
Everybody.
A written statement ain't the same.
Come on.
As when you have to talk. When you start getting questioned, when the FBI agents roll up at your house and begin to ask you questions, because if you do lie to them, see, I can do a sheet of paper.
Yes, sir.
And then, let me revise my statement.
That's right.
But if I lie to federal agents, I could then be charged with lying to federal agents.
There it is.
So if you ain't done nothing,
there it is.
So do what you do. See, here's the real. Remember Gary Hart?
Oh, exactly.
What did Gary Hart say to the media? Oh, y'all can follow me.
Follow me.
Right. I ain't done nothing. Media went like, media said, cool. They followed his ass.
Hey, what happened?
What happened?
Yes, sir. Got that woman on that boat in his lap.
Monkey, see, if you ain't done nothing, you ain't got a problem with somebody checking you out.
Look,
I totally understand that, and I just want to say real quick, but if you don't have faith with the FBI, then maybe you're not so willing to go and
why
have
did
them
they use
investigate.
No.
But I do say,
and then I
have to question that real quick. If they did a thorough background check, why didn't any of this come up?
Why? They didn't know about the women.
Okay, stop. Kim, this ain't that damn hard.
No.
First of all, when you say a thorough background check, we've had other examples of thorough background checks that don't uncover everything, because if I don't know something happened at a party and she didn't tell anybody, that's how you don't know.
That's right.
So now all of a sudden, she then says these things happen. And also the little game he's playing with, well, the FBI doesn't come to conclusions. The point is not the FBI coming to conclusion. Right. The point is this here. If you say do an investigation, if you say on September 27th, Roland did this to me at his show, and I go, I ain't do nothing. So y'all can come talk to Scott and Greg. Y'all can talk to Vicky. Y'all can talk to Maya and Henry and Jake. Y'all can talk to everybody.
Lil Keisha.
If I got a key, y'all can talk to everybody in the room.
No question.
But if I then go, what you know, that report not going to reveal anything.
Right.
It's not going to show anything.
Right.
I'm saying, go talk to everybody.
Right.
I'm good.
Right.
Hold on. If I portrayed myself as a choir boy.
Right.
As somebody who went to a all-boys Catholic Jesuit school, you know, and I worked my tail off to get to Yale College and Yale Law.
That's right.
And I played basketball, and I would lift weights, you know, and I coached my daughters.
Come on.
And all this sort of stuff like that. In fact, I'm saying damn right to the investigation. So when you come back, you ain't got nothing. Then I can say, now what y'all got?
That's right. In fact, Roland, you put your finger on it.
That's what he don't want to happen.
That's right, because what he's doing, and think about this, and let's go with your example a bit further. I then write a letter and say, Roland ain't touched nobody, but I'm not going to testify. So,
or I'm going to be anonymous about it.
Yeah, I want to be anonymous about it.
And I'm going to hide the hell out.
And I'm going to hide, right.
Okay, well, hold on. Here's my letter. Well, don't your ass call me. Don't you call me.
Let's add some more to it. Let's add some more to it. You get the choir from your church, 40 women in the church and the mother's board to sign saying you're a fine man, and then you want to refer to it at the hearing, but you don't want an investigation. Come on.
Well, can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Scott, go ahead. Scott.
All of these testimonies and these letters of support, there are only 3 witnesses in this whole issue, this whole circumstance. 3. Only 2 of them at the hearing, and the 3rd one they won't subpoena, and they won't open up an investigation by the FBI again. You're not going to get the truth unless you do that.
And the media talked to him, and they said, no, I recall that, which is easy when I get questioned by the media.
Exactly.
But when my ass got to get questioned
by the FBI. If you lie, hold on. If you lie or mislead, you can be criminally prosecuted by the Fed.
I trust them on that.
Lie or mislead.
Right. Something go down. That's when you like,
yeah.
FBI agents?
Yeah. You want to talk? I'm going to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Them badges real?
You see that big badge?
Okay, what had happened was, I know I previously, because he's remember, a denial to the media can't get you charged.
That's right. But watch this.
Lying to the federal authorities can get you charged.
As a former state sex crimes prosecutor, one thing we know about bad actors is they're not one-off bad actors. They have a pattern and practice of it, right? And that's why you have 3 women who identify themselves, who observed the behavior or were alleged victims, and you have 2 anonymous. And the thread among all those statements, these eyewitnesses who were either witnesses or know of him, his drunken debauchery, his abuse of women, his heavy drinking, him being an angry drunk and a different person, that's the thread that runs through all of these allegations and stuff. That is part and parcel of why it needs to be investigated, but also why it's pretty clear he's got these tendencies. That's another reason he doesn't want the FBI to investigate him, because when they interview those people, it's going to come out as a pattern and practice, and he certainly can't have that. I thought the GOP would come out and say he had a drinking problem, he's worked on it, but look at the last 30 years of his life. Who is it at themselves 50 that they are at 17?
Now, Kim,
that'd be a better defense in my opinion.
I'm a native Texan. I remember when there was a certain guy who was a senator, whose name is John Tower. Who was nominated to be the Secretary of Defense.
That's right.
And didn't get confirmed because of his drinking and womanizing.
Exactly.
So to sort of say, like, well, you know, the drinking really no big deal, the reality is there's history. Dude, you're going to be one of 9. Yes, we should know if a potential Supreme Court justice got a drinking problem.
That's right.
That's real. And see, I just don't understand why folks are acting as if, oh, well, then he goes, well, you know, I have a few beers. No, dude, you got people who said, nah, man, you was sloppy drunk.
Sloppy.
And again, if you say that was in my past, that's one thing. But to present yourself as a choir boy as if it never happened. That's the issue. And here's the other piece. If you tell me, no, I ain't never got drunk. I got folks who said, no, dude, you were drunk.
Come on.
A lot of
If you're going to lie about that,
right.
It's much stuff you're going to lie about. Kim, go ahead.
Well, I don't think he should have lied about getting drunk, because I don't think you can equate a drunk person with a rapist. Just because you get drunk and have a little fun at parties does not mean that you're a sexual assault kind
of
person.
But the witnesses say it was both.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that.
What we're not going to do, as Roland says, is take away from Kim's time, because you're talking a lot. Okay?
You're right, Kim.
All right.
You picked up on that.
So I do agree Mark Judge should have been there today. He was the other person in the room. He should have been there. I know they said he had leukemia. He's got addiction problems, and maybe that's why he wasn't there. But I wish he was, because he could probably shed a little bit more light on the situation.
Grassley would not call.
It's called a subpoena.
Right.
Just subpoena.
Grassley, they wouldn't call for a reason.
They should have.
Greg, you're
They should. I wasn't done.
Sorry, Kim.
They should have called him.
Feisty
They should have called him. But, you know, to me, now I'm forgetting what I was going to say. I had a great...
That means it really wasn't that important.
Okay?
I remember.
Greg, go ahead.
I'll make mine very short. They're driving this car to the Supreme Court, and there's not a tire on it with any air in it. They're riding the rims to the step of the Supreme Court, and they're trying to get this man in that seat before the midterm elections.
I got it. I remembered.
All righty.
Could he be against an FBI investigation because it would take time and that he would not be confirmed?
No.
Before
Maybe
November.
No. In fact.
No, that was my question.
In fact, an FBI investigation, again, if he didn't do it, actually would get him more votes.
No question about it.
Because here's the deal. If you do the investigation and they come back and they said, we talked to 20 people, and we talked to those 4, and we talked to these people, and these people, and these people, we could not corroborate anything.
That's right.
That actually helps him.
No question.
So when you don't want something, so that's the real deal. And remember, you ain't got a problem with a week. The FBI, President George H.W. Bush, asked the FBI to reopen the investigation on Clarence Thomas.
That's right.
It took the FBI 3 days.
3 days.
Okay? They came back. Here's our report. They continued with the hearings. He was approved in committee. 5248 in the United States Senate. He's been on Supreme Court since 1991. That's it. Scott, final comment.
Here, let's talk about the red herring for your listening audience, right? You know, the character assassinations, what his family's been through, what both sides been through. But with Kavanaugh, let's be real clear, right? There are lots of buckets to our lives. The fact that he's a Supreme Court nominee, he coaches girls basketball, he does all these things, does not mean he can't be a mean drunk or have sexually assaulted or exposed himself to certain people. He can be all of those things. When I was a prosecutor, we prosecuted men who exposed themselves, who were CEOs, who were leading political figures in New York, who had incredible backgrounds and perceived great character, and yet they were pedophiles, or they exposed themselves, or they attempted to rape women. So it is a collage of things in life that make the total person. So the whole idea that somehow because he's a Supreme Court nominee doesn't mean he could have raped somebody or attempted to is just nonsense.
I actually agree with that because look at the priest.
Well, here we go. Bob Bond is here.
You got to do a show on that.
The question now is, will we see the committee take a vote tomorrow or Saturday? Will we see the full Senate vote? And the question is, will Senator Susan Collins, Senator Lisa Murkowski, Senator Jeff Flake, will Senator Caputo out of West Virginia, will they be also Senator Bob Corker? Will they stick with this Supreme Court nominee? Remember, it's 51-49. That's what you have there. If 2 members on the Republican side, if they say no, it's now 49-49. The only way Vice President Mike Pence votes is if there is a tie. They cannot afford to lose 2 United States senators. We'll see. So we want to thank our panel, Janice, Scott, Kim, and Greg. Going to a break right now. When we come back, we're going to hear from Tiffany Haddish, Will Packer and Director Malcolm Lee about the movie Night School, starring Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart, back on Roland Martin Unfiltered in a moment.
We all have ability. The difference is how we use it. Singer Stevie Wonder.
All right, folks, HBCU Giving Day, our school today, Howard University. Of course, you can go to www.howard.edu. I don't know what the www2 is, but it's www.howard.edu. Of course, founded in 1867, known as the Mecca. Hampton University would disagree. Of course, recently, HU climbed 21 spots to number 89 on the U.S. News and World Report, latest 2019 rankings of the nation's best universities. And so, please be sure to support Howard University by giving back. And also, all you graduates, all y'all running around with y'all Howard University shirts and your sweaters, and all y'all talking about y'all coming back for homecoming. Let me remind you that the president of the university told me that when he got there, only 3% of Howard University undergrads were giving. Is now up to 10.7. That's still abysmal. That means that about 90% of all Howard University graduates are not giving a dime back to the university.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why we have HBCU Giving Day. And so if you want to see how it's still there 100 years from now because it was there for you, I suggest you write a check, you go to PayPal, you go to the website, and I don't care what you give back. You can give back $100, you can give back 50, 25, 10, 5, hell, you can give $1. That's fine. But for 90% of Howard undergraduate graduates not to give a dime or a nickel back to the university, that's a shame.
That's right.
Because guess what? The damn shirt you wearing and the hat you wearing costs more than that. I'm sure you appreciate that, Greg Carr.
Absolutely. You know,
Folks, Night School starring Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart opens this weekend. It's estimated it's going to take in some $30 million. Be #1 at the box office. Wow. Last week, I sat down with Will Packer, the producer, and Malcolm Lee, the director, to chat about this movie.
So, Teach, what are the test results? Teddy, you, my friend, are dyslexic. You also have dyscalculia. That's what I got. We're not done. You also have a processing disorder.
I got a touch of prostate cancer. She didn't touch my ass one time.
Boy.
Dance with my dogs in the nighttime.
Welcome to night school. We need to cram 4 years of high school into a semester.
Study group, study group, study group.
Yes. I think his mama breastfed him beer. Teaching the conventional way just isn't gonna get it done.
Why we in the ring?
What's the square root of 81?
What?
What's the square root of 81?
I don't know what you're talking about. Square root. What is it? Oh, God. Oh! This woman is a brick wall.
You either pass the midterm or you're out of my class.
We're gonna have to steal the test.
You wanna explain to me how you got a perfect score?
I know I didn't get a perfect score because I missed a few on purpose.
Snitches are bitches.
What? I'm going to work. Come and get your chicken from the Lord.
Teddy, this suit you got on is dumb as hell.
I am where I'm supposed to be.
At a fast food joint next to a strip club.
If I stand in the right spot, I can smell cocoa butter and fried chicken at the same time.
Take this suit off. You gonna take this test. You trying to get your GED?
Yes.
You can get out my way, bitch. Baba! You ready to get started?
I'm not playing with you.
What's the capital of Belgium?
Waffles?
What? That is not the answer!
Oh,
get back here!
You starting to force my hand.
Water is comprised of
rain.
Focus!
It's a gas.
2-part hydrogen, 1-part oxygen. You got it right, Teddy.
What does that smell?
Now that's a gas.
Oh, you bust ass in my face? It's in my mouth. You got my lips all chapped.
What's up, baby? What's going on, gentlemen?
You got it.
Come on, bro.
You two back at it.
We
back
are.
at it, man.
We haven't missed yet, bro. We haven't missed.
We are batting 1,000.
Yes, we are. Now, we probably should have quit while we were ahead, and then we could have rolled that out. But, you know, we...
Gotta take the shot.
Took another crack at it.
What, for somebody out there who's trying to partner with some people, trying to do stuff, what is the key to a successful partnership?
I would say respect. You know, I respect what this man brings to the table, which is like big marketable films. He's got his the finger on the pulse of what people want, and you know, that's what I would say. Like he just and for me, trying to like do my artistic thing or try to like tell stories that matter or whatever. I need somebody like that to get me where I want to go. A, and then B, he lets me do my thing, and he's very supportive in that way. Very much a rah-rah guy, and yeah, I would say it's respect and support.
It's symbiotic, you know. I cannot do what Malcolm does. What he does, his skill set is so. He's so good at it and so entrenched in it, and I have, again, such a respect for it. And what I do, he lets me do. He understands that I have a track record in those areas he said. So it's symbiotic, because we don't do the same things, and we don't have the same skill set. That's one of the ways it works really well.
Yeah, and that being said, I mean, like, this guy is, like, not only is a great partner, I mean, great, what he does with the marketing of all and come up with the big ideas, but he's like, okay, you know what, why don't we try this thing on this tape?
And a lot of times it works, you know. And so I
like that zip line, Malcolm, that you didn't want to do in Girls Trip. Remember, I had to talk you into it.
I wasn't thinking
you
about
didn't want to do it,
which is very memorable.
Yes, thank you, Roland.
No, it is.
I had to talk him into directing this movie too. He was tired. He had just come off a Girls Trip. He wanted a little break. Understandable.
True story.
I said, come on, Mal. Come on, brother.
So how long was it between Girls Trip ending and this?
Girls Trip hadn't even come out yet.
There was no gap.
So like, what would you like a week off? What?
No. I mean, I think I edited. Was done with the edit maybe a couple of weeks later. You know, he was telling me that he was going to give me the script.
Right.
Give me the script. It's coming. I'm like, all right, you know, I'll check it out. So, you know, I got it and I was like, I don't know.
And then what put him over the top? Where he fine, okay, I'll do it.
His wife.
So you went that route.
He told.
See, you hit the him, but then you also hit the wife as well. See, that's what I'm saying.
There was a check involved that a man of Malcolm Lee's standing deserves.
So basically, you said, "Look at here." Because anytime you're black, you go, "Look at here."
Look at here. He said, "Are you sure you're gonna turn this down, brother?"
And then she went, "Look at here."
That's exactly what happened.
And when Mama says, "Look at here,"
yes,
we all listen.
Exactly what happened.
Right. That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Know.
Very shrewd.
If both of you just could speak on the pairing of these two individuals and what they brought to this movie.
Well, first of all, they're the two hottest comics in the world right now.
Period.
Comedy gold.
Not black, not American, just in the world.
In the world.
Two biggest stars.
Yeah, and like they have amazing chemistry. You know, they've been friends for a very long time. They want each other to win. You know, like Kevin's been doing this a long time, and he's been a very good actor, technical, extremely funny, knows how to like land a joke, and he was there and making sure that Tiffany was going to win in every scene.
Yeah. Well, I agree. No, I think that they don't mind the other person getting the spotlight. Sometimes when you have stars, and especially comedians, everybody's trying to out-funny the other person. Everybody's trying to grab the spotlight. The thing that makes them work very well, and this won't be the last time you see Tiffany and Kevin in a movie together, I guarantee you, is that they both they go hard now.
Yeah,
they are definitely, you know, they're competitive and they want to be really great, but they allow the other person to shine when it's their time. That's the good thing about it.
All right. Well, gentlemen, looking forward to it. Always good seeing you.
Good to see you, Ron.
All right.
Thank you, my brother.
Appreciate it.
Roland Martin.
All right, y'all. Be sure to catch Night School, directed by Malcolm Lee, produced by my frat Will Packer, Alpha Man, Scott Bowles. Because you damn sure see no Kappas.
We dropped him from the Kappa line.
And yes, of course, just letting y'all know, Greg Carr is also an Alpha Man. Just so you know.
That's right.
So Night School starring Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart. Tomorrow.
Look at it,
Tomorrow. I know you wish you could.
I got it.
You wish you could. You wish you could. So again, tomorrow we'll talk with Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart. And I asked them what was it like, how they too played off each other and made each other better. Folks, don't forget, Roland Martin Unfiltered airs every single day, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. You can also catch, of course, on VOD. So as soon as the show's over, you can watch us immediately. And you can download the podcast on Google Play or on iTunes as well. Also, I want you to support our Bring the Funk fan club. Scott, have you given?
Not yet.
Damn, broke-ass Kappas. Broke Kappas. I know Greg is giving. See, I know what Alpha is.
Do that.
But, Scott somehow thinks we can deposit prayers.
I'll give you $1,000 tonight. No. You guarantee me a shout-out.
What shout-out?
A shout-out at the reads everybody who donated while I'm on the show.
Yeah, Scott. Scott, if you can, hold on. First he wanted a shout-out.
$1,000.
Now he wants too many commentary. First of all, you talked that long interrupting Kim.
I'm just trying to
anyway, y'all, if y'all want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered, which Scott Bolden has not done yet, Erica, his wife, I know you watching, I know you control the money. Erica, do me a favor, tell him he ain't gonna get none until he gives. He gonna cut a check right now. All right, go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com to support us and what we do. Of course, we try to bring you something no one else is doing 5 days a week. That is unapologetically black news every single day. And I told y'all can watch TV the rest of the night. All these other little networks, y'all are gonna see 4 black people combined talking about Brett Kavanaugh. And so y'all can add them all up on the rest of them networks. That's why we do what we do the way we do it, because it ain't hard finding black people. They got a problem somehow finding 4 at one time, but it ain't hard for us. I'll see you guys tomorrow from Dallas. I got to go. Holla!
Holla.